everyone. If you're standing, we'll get you to take a seat. Thank you. Welcome back to the Nature Repair and Climate Adaptation stream. We've got a big group presentation now on Healing Country Together. So I'd like to welcome up Danny Reddan, Dave Mullins, Dave Crawford and Emma Boyle from the Narrap Unit Rangers.
Good afternoon, everyone. Well done on getting this far. I hope you're all caffeinated and struggling through. Firstly, thanks for the opportunity to talk about our project partnership. We're very proud of what we've achieved so far, even though it's early days. Yeah, for those of you that saw the film last night at the cinema, just like to apologise in advance because this is the unedited reality and it's a little bit older, a little bit more awkward. But yeah, it's been a real honour to work with the Narrap Rangers over the last few years. My name's Danny, I'm from the Narrap Creek Management Committee, and for a bit of context, the Narrap Creek is a tributary of the Yarra River, the Birrarung, in the north of Melbourne, runs for about 50 kilometres to the south in Alphington. So we work with community to engage people in caring for the creek, and it's a real priority for us to work with the First Peoples. So I'll throw to you guys to introduce yourselves and tell a little bit about the Narrap Rangers.
Hey, I'm Murnong Dave. I've been working with the Narrap Rangers for about 5 years, so about the length of the project partnership, but involved in the bushland management industry for about 30 years. And my connection with Wurundjeri began, I'm not a Wurundjeri person, I'm not Aboriginal, but very closely connected to the community. One of our other rangers, Jimmy, over here, I've been friends with for almost 20 years, and we've done a lot of cultural stuff together alongside Uncle Bill, one of our very respected elders. And I think I've known Danny for quite a while in that time as well. And I might say more about that later, but introductions continue.
I'm Emma. I've worked at Narrap Rangers for 3 years now. I think my anniversary was yesterday, so special. And yeah, and have about 8 years experience in bushland management, and to work alongside Indigenous people on Wurundjeri country is super special to me. It means everything, and I love what I do. And yeah, when like you love what you do, it's like not really work. So it's super special.
Hi everyone, I'm David Mullins. I'm a proud Wurundjeri man. I'm the Ranger Program Manager in the Narrap unit. I guess I'll go back to the start where Narrap started back in 2012. Started working out of a trailer, yeah, with all the equipment, and I started back in 2019. There was only 6 of us on the crew, done Cert 3 and yeah, conservation land management. And yeah, ended up moving into a nice new depot with, had yeah, showers and washing machine and all that sort of stuff with accommodation. Yeah, well, hand over to you, Danny.
All right, thank you. Okay, so the origins of our partnership, it's a Nanyak Tamboree project, and that's a Woiwurrung name that means caring for the waterway together. But it goes back to 2021, and the site is actually on La Trobe University land, and La Trobe University approached Narrap Creek Management Committee and Melbourne Water to say, we want you to come in and join as partners in working on this restoration project. And they'd had a consultant come in, and they developed up this revegetation plan that was very specific. There was 67,000 different plants, so they want to go in all the different species, and this is how we wanted to do it. We're going, yep, that's great, but let's just take a step back and maybe slow down and look at what we're dealing with. And the other thing was, it was important to us to reach out. I had some relationships at Wurundjeri to see if the First Peoples would like to be involved in caring for country together, make it a whole lot more meaningful and to provide those opportunities for Indigenous people. This is the Narrap group, so they've grown a lot in that time, and maybe we'll come back to that, but I should have, actually, I'll go back to that slide, because the other partners, so Melbourne Water and La Trobe University, but we needed more co-investment. So with Wurundjeri, with Fiona McConaughey, we put together a proposal to a philanthropic organisation, the Ross Trust, and we're fortunate to secure 3 years of funding. So that benefited, obviously, the other co-investment partners. We've subsequently, after those 3 years, we've secured more funding from the Australian government. We're going to go into another third round of that, which is really important for us because we don't want to lose that progress that we've made with the site. The Narrap unit, back in 2021, according to my figures, there were 9 rangers at that time, and you're now up to 25, is that right?
In 21 we had 25, and now we're up to 50.
Oh, right.
That incorporates our water program as well. So,
of course.
Yeah.
That's good. Either way, rapid expansion, and it's amazing, and we certainly don't take for granted that relationship because it's wonderful that increasingly in this country, First Peoples' knowledge and their connection to country is really valued, and everybody, all the government agencies want them, but sometimes that can be done on the assumption that they're able to come and to help. But we're very conscious of working with them with the capacity that they have to support them. And we at DCMC, so we have a policy of first right of refusal. So for any projects that we get, we offer it to Narrap. But in a couple of cases recently, we want to work, but they've got to work on what the priorities are. So I guess for this project, I'd ask you, what was it about this that you say, okay, we do want to work on this one?
Yeah, I guess, we always speak with the elders as well, and we've had a connection to the Darabin Creek through the entire length, forever now. So I think, the cultural values that it holds and the cultural heritage that's there, it was one that we just, wanted to stick with. And I guess, the funding as well, to be able to do on-ground works for all these years. We were able to see the land, transform back to sort of what it should be.
Cool. So the objectives of the project were threefold: ecological restoration of the site, building the capacity of the Narrap Rangers with a particular focus on supporting female Indigenous rangers, and developing the relationships between the partners themselves. So a bit about the site. It's remnant grassy eucalypt woodlands, 10 hectares on the Darabin Creek, and it's in quite an urban environment, so it's quite rare that you have these patches left that's surrounded by suburbia. A lot of pressures on it. It hasn't been managed for 150, 200 years. So while there are some good remnant qualities, it is quite degraded. But you can see with this old red gum here, affectionately known as mother red gum, we do have those good habitat values there, and we've got dusky wood swallows nesting in the bark. But we augment that with putting up nest boxes, and we get the crest gliders and the kookaburra there with a skink in its mouth to feed its young. Incidentally, those two photos were taken at the same time when Uncle Dave Wandon, an elder, was doing a welcome and smoking and walking through, and this kookaburra with a skink in its mouth did a little call and then flew down to that nest box, which was near that other one, and it scared out the crest gliders, went up the tree. So they put on a nice little show for us. But the site itself, quite degraded. It's got all the weeds of national significance that you would expect to find in Victoria are at this site. And while there are patches of themata, kangaroo grass in certain areas, largely we're dealing with a lot of phalaris and a lot of Chile needlegrass. So whereas in that landscape that has been managed for tens of thousands of years through careful use of fire and other means, and you usually have the diversity of all the pretty little flowers and things that are culturally valuable, like Murnong, as Murnong Dave's name, his namesake, being the staple food plant for many Victorian Aboriginal people. A lot of that was gone, but as we worked on it, they found little gems amongst it. So stepping back rather than going in and going, all right, we're just going to plant everything, was like, no, let's work with it, let's see what we've got and take the time and observe. Okay, so fire is obviously a really critical element of what the Wurundjeri Wurrung Narrap team use. Did some of you want to speak about that rather than me?
Yeah, sure. So I guess, yeah, with our fire program, we like to go in and set up some survey plots before and record all the species that's in there. Then, yeah, once we put the burn through, we go back and record what's coming back. So we, yeah, try and tie it into our whole program. But yeah, just being out in country, being able to burn with family, it's, yeah, something that makes me emotional when I talk about it. But yeah, no, it's awesome to get out into the country and put fire back to where it should be.
And it's putting that fire through, so it's important for where the thermidor is, but also in clearing out a lot of the weed thatch, and it opens up that intertussock space. So that's when we started to get back some of these wildflowers. And this photo here is of a Dianella amina, matted flax lily, a critically endangered species that came back after that first burn in 2021. So we had this proof of concept, and we've got a little bromia blue banded bee pollinating it. So it's just wonderful to see that happen. And I know that, you know, really, these guys do all the work. I just sort of help to make things happen, I guess. And the way that we approach things is this. It's led by the Narrap Rangers. I'm not going to tell them how to do their job. They're out there on country. They observe. They see what's happening. So we get together with all the partners and we do reach that consensus about what direction we're going to take. But it is truly, we talk about adaptive management in this field, but often we come in with, there's pressure for us to have predetermined ideas about what actions we're going to take. We deliberately don't do this. We've got these overarching goals. We want to improve the ecological condition, but it's really about, okay, let's put fire through it. Let's see how country responds and observe. And then from that, you can identify where the priorities are, where the values are, where to put the energy. And so it's that approach. And so it sort of meanders a bit, and where we think we're going to go, we end up somewhere else. But we've had some great results with that, and the zones that you've come up with, the management zones based on their ecological characters, are really great. So one example, and another tricky thing in this game is getting the photo points in the right area, and we didn't. But if you can imagine, there was this just phalaris understory that put fire through it, and observed that there was a number of poa under there. And with that, you're able to target the phalaris around it. And we bring in with La Trobe University, and we've got the Botany Society volunteers and the Friends of Darabin Creek and Reservoir High School, all these volunteers come in, and we do the species enrichment planting, but also putting in more poas. And I went past there the other day and go, wow, okay, now it looks like it should.
And that transformation was huge. I was there from the start of that, and I don't know if many of you know phalaris grass, but at this site it was 2 metres high, and you would literally need to swim through it to move through the site. And I remember doing that in those early days, pushing my way in, getting through, like seeing a red gum in the distance, trying to get to that red gum, but looking down occasionally and seeing there's tussock grasses in here, and there's other little things, but it was like that to get down to it. And after now 3 years, I think, since that burn, you see and you walk easily to that red gum, and you see all the little things in between. There's still a lot of work to do, but it's no longer like that. It's looking, at a glance, looking much more like a natural proper environment, and it's pretty amazing. And I wish we'd got those photo points in the right
Yeah.
spot.
But every time I'm catching up with you, you're telling me stories about these new native plants that you've found, that you've discovered as you keep working on it.
We're finding orchids and all sorts of things almost every time we're out there.
Whereas before you'd look at it and go, it's a big hot mess of weeds. And if we'd taken that approach and just gone in, nuked everything and planted it, what would have we lost in the process? So taking that time to observe and go slowly, we reap the rewards.
I think that's another interesting point. As I said, am I talking loud enough without the mic? Yep. Thanks, guys.
Oh, he wants the mic for the recording.
For the recording. All right, I'll do the
You
mic.
have to do it.
Now, I've forgotten what I was going to say. Worked in the industry a long time, and in other workplaces there was always a lot of pressure to just spray and plant and get numbers done and tick boxes, and you didn't have that time to wander around and find those things, and we probably did, and a lot of people probably still do a lot of damage in the industry just by trying to tick those boxes and achieve those massive amounts of herbicide output and plants in the ground. It's so refreshing to be able to spend time wandering and yarning and not feeling like we have to make the numbers up all the time. And we are finding those things, and it's just fantastic.
Yeah, I think it is. I guess I'll do a bit of a summary and then you do yours. But I think the approach that we have is really in that Indigenous philosophy of slowing down. Whereas we exist in this modern culture that is all about speed and getting things done quickly and meeting those targets and unrealistic timeframes tied to political and financial cycles with no relation to ecology. We know that doesn't work. And we're also, we've been talking about the seas today, and collaboration comes up a lot, and absolutely it's so important, but we need to acknowledge that we live in a society where we're forced into competition, and we all have to compete over the meagre resources and funding. But it is through collaboration that we can overcome that to an extent, because if the contributors don't have to pay for everything, then it's a bit easier for them. But we're always chasing that next grant to keep things going because it's so important. The last thing we're going to do is walk away from this site because the management doesn't end, even if the project cycles do. So we've got to remain vigilant in getting that funding in. So I just think taking that time. So it's not a C word, but I think patience is really important in this game. And I think what we try to do with this is give the space for the Narrap unit to grow and develop. And through that, with the partners, we all benefit from that knowledge and exchange. It creates a great sense of purpose as well, beyond what it would be if it was just that ticker box type project, and we've got to get in these 67,000 plants. Anyway, that's probably enough for me.
I just want to just give a quick shout out to Sean Hunter and Uncle Dave Wandon. Without them two, we wouldn't have this today. So they've given me a career that I can do for the rest of my life now. But before we finish up, I just want to just say, country is the source of all life. Country is alive and continuing. The land is our mother, our strength and power. Country is all the resources of the land and the water, the rivers, creeks and wetlands, the plants and animals, the process and cycles that sustain life, and the health of the land and the water. Country is our responsibility. The land means our survival. So it is our responsibility to take care of it so it takes care of us. Thank you. I think we've still got time for questions.
Yeah.
If anyone has any questions, ask Danny.
No, don't.
I
just realised I had that. I'm trying to remember it all.
I mean, just at the end there, where you're talking about not being constrained to the planning timeline and being able to do things at its own pace. And it's really bush generation at its purest that you're doing, which is awesome, but you still are relying on funding, and so you still have to have some element of planning. Do you have to have, is that nested into a broader long-term plan that you do have to have in terms of strategy, or are you able to sort of couch that in fairly loose terms to be able to give you the benefit of doing it the best way?
I guess it is, you're right, and I guess that's the point I was trying to make, is that in the system we're in, the culture, what we're trying to do goes against the grain, and it's a real challenge. So we do the best that we can within that system. We're always looking for more funding. And I guess I was just talking to Emma about another project where Whittlesea Council told us they haven't got any more funding, but we just did some work with Sam over there last year, and we don't want to walk away from that because we know that those first couple of years in particular are so critical to get on top of the weeds if we're going to change the system. So it's like, no, we can't do that. So we've got some federal funding over here, so we're trying to funnel it in rather than starting new projects, but trying to really get things happening there all the time and always looking for new opportunities. I think, is it next week, we're going out, we're taking a tour with a couple of the neighbours. So at La Trobe University, it's a big sporting precinct. The state government's just spent $80 million on it. And we're taking out Rugby Victoria and Football Australia. So it's a home for the Matildas. So we've got an agenda. You better believe it. We're saying here's a great marketing opportunity for you. Get out the Matildas with the Narrap Rangers for a photo, but invest in it. And this will meet your rap. So I guess that's a long way of saying, yeah, it's hard because funding is too short term, but we just keep looking for more to keep building. And the more partners we have, then I guess the more insurance we've got for that. Yeah.
I just want to acknowledge that one of your main aims was also to have more female representation, and my question is for Emma. What's the one thing that gives you the most joy about working in this role?
I think one thing.
So you can have three things if you like. You can have three if you like.
I can have three. I think it would be being on country every day. I've always loved nature. I've always felt really connected to it. And having the opportunity to work alongside Indigenous female rangers as a non-Indigenous person, is just an honour to me. And like I said before, it means a lot to me. And I love the changes that we get to make together. I love it.
Thank you.
Not sure if this is to everyone, maybe. I haven't had much involvement with philanthropic organisations, but you're mentioning that was sort of one of the first ways you were able to get your funding. Was that quite a refreshing way and gave you a lot more opportunity to, I guess, go about how you wanted to actually get this project off the ground?
Yeah, so the Ross Trust, we were fortunate that we found a philanthropic organisation that had the shared goals. And I guess that's the same for any grant or if it's an investment. It's just finding that commonality. So that made it easy, it's just making it really clear. I mean, they're not uncommon goals, I think, that this project, we've been hearing them a lot throughout. But just for whatever partner you're going and inviting into your project, just making sure that you've got that commonality from the outset. Yeah. I don't know if I talked about it, but one of the other things, of course, with this is, and it's been talked about today, is that respect and trust are really critical working with First Peoples. And in fact, it was some years ago before I was at DCM seeing this project started, but I worked on a training project with the Narrap Rangers with Uncle Dave when they were just getting started. So I was helping with the training with conservation and land management with them. And I sat down with Dave and we talked about exactly that, about trust. Because, with these communities, they've got every right to be suspicious. But I think just having that clarity and talking about the shared values that you have and being honest is a very good place to start.
Well, thanks very much to the Narrap Rangers for presenting. We've got the last panel session for the day back in the main area.